Boulderhorn, kind of with my first video here. Um, this is kind of intended just to be a little rambling slash rant of World of Warcraft from my perspective. Um, Kind of a new perspective, I'd say. So, kind of some context of me playing World of Warcraft. I started playing World of Warcraft actually sometime in Legion. I had bought like a month of WoW, not just basic World of Warcraft, and played a Tauren Paladin. I remember his name was Tonich. I only got so far and then basically uh, stopped playing. Sub ran out, didn't get to play again. Finally, later on, I had uh, bought the expansion for basically Legion and BFA. They had like a deal going on, so I essentially got to play. I played near the end of Legion and the start of Battle for Azeroth. Um, I had used the level boost to make a Tauren Paladin named Verku, and in Legion, I had learned about the allied races, and the main one I wanted was the Time Out in Tauren. So ultimately, in Legion, I was just working for the allied races. I had gotten all four of them, the ones that were released: the Lightforged Draenei, Void Elf, High Mountain Tauren, Nightborn, and so on and so forth. So basically, a good portion of Legion, I was just grinding up to get the four allied races, essentially. Ended up leveling a Lightforge from level 20 to max. Didn't level a High Mountain, even though that was the one allied race I wanted, and so on and so forth. So I'm pretty much a noob. I don't play WoW anymore for several reasons, and yeah, I don't play it very much anymore. So a lot of the stuff which would seem like for basic players I didn't do, like Mythic Plus I didn't do, um, raiding I didn't do very often. I did do some LFR and a tad bit of normal mode here and there. I did a Nighthold to get the Nightborn. Emerald Dream I also did that during Legion. Not very much of it. Well, it was even at the end of Legion, so like, only like once or twice. Never nothing like farming. So um my opinions, I don't know how to go on. I think for credibility, like I said, I played in Legion, so I didn't experience Classic WoW. I didn't experience the previous expansions. I didn't experience any of that. So, what was I expecting from WoW? I was expecting. Um, I'm not sure what I really was expecting. I guess in some sense, I was expecting it to be similar to a different MMORPG I was playing called Star Wars: The Old Republic. I played a lot of that, and ultimately, WoW shifted a lot of how it changed how I played it a little bit. SWTOR and WoW work very differently. The gameplay is different. Similar things here and there, but ultimately it is different. There were some things where I could do it in SWTOR a-okay, like tanking. I can tank in SWTOR no problem. But healing in SWTOR, I've just big NO. But in WoW, tanking for me is frustrating and not as fun compared to healing. Like I love playing Holy Priest. Some but there was, I don't know. From what I've heard around and just watching like Asmongold, Nixium, and all kinds of different WoW content, is that BFA is meant for like newer players, or they've said that. And some people, yeah, they might, if they are newer, they'll have fun with it. But for me as a newer player, it was not fun. It wasn't. And for several reasons. Some of it being BFA and some of it just being WoW changing. Um, One of the first things I didn't like uh, that WoW did was get rid of the class fantasy. Now there was some things in Legion, but there wasn't. But after Legion and BFA, there's no class fantasy. It's all about Alliance versus Horde and saving Azeroth and that. It's all about that. There's no unique class stuff. Um, you don't feel like I played Paladin pretty much all of Legion and BFA. I had my 110 120 actually by the end of it. Um, Tauren Paladin and my 120 Life Forge Paladin. So I was playing Paladin on both sides, on both Alliance and Horde, and I never felt like a Paladin. I never did. I never thought I was like, oh, I am a holy protector of things. The only time I ever felt like a Paladin was when I was doing the Legion class hall quest. That's when I felt like a paladin, especially getting the class hall mount. That I felt like a true paladin. And yeah, but like nowadays in WoW, there's no unique class stuff. It's just every class is shades of a similar color. They're all similar. Um, for instance, Holy Priest and Resto Druids. All right, they're both healers and they both can heal. Holy Priests, they can, they're reactionary and they rely on kind of more direct heals rather than just the Druids dot heals. And it's like, okay, it's like, oh, those are unique, those are different. What's wrong with that? And there's nothing inherently wrong with that, but they're just kind of reskins of doing it. You don't feel like you're playing that specific thing. Maybe you do, maybe you don't. But for me, I didn't feel like I was. I just felt like I was healing. I was just being a healer, not a holy priest, a healer. Um, I felt like I was just filling in a role. Whenever I did dungeons, I felt like I was just filling a role rather than being the priest of the light and serving the light or something of that sort. Um, yeah, and I think that also plays on the lack of fantasy in WoW. It's like obviously it's oh there's a lot of fantasy. There's orcs and elves and so on and so forth, but it never feels unique or I don't know genuine. Maybe might be the word. I don't know how to describe it necessarily. There is some interesting things in WoW, like lore wise, like the Tauren, for instance. As I have Bane, the Tauren are I think they're great. Oh, they are like Native Americans, yeah, sure, whatever. But worshiping the Earth Mother, the uniqueness of their paladins. They're sun walkers. They follow the sun along with their priests. They follow the sun and such. Uh, Freaking blood elves. I know in Burning Crusade they stole light from the Draenei or the Naru or whatever. That's how they were paladins. Draenei essentially serve. They're closer to the light than humans and dwarves are, and so on and so forth. So, um, but WoW doesn't play to those strengths. It doesn't play to that. Sometimes it's like, oh, you're just a horde. You're just a member of the horde. Or you're just a member of the alliance. Or you're just some adventurer. You're not like a druid. They don't see you as a druid. They just see you as a soldier of the alliance or soldier of the horde in battle for Azeroth. You know, it's like, oh, we need your help, alliance person. I'm a priest. I can heal, but we need you to go kill these boars. What? I don't know. It's it, I have trouble describing it. I do have trouble describing it. Maybe it's probably been like that for a while. So another problem I have with World of Warcraft, and I'm sure everyone's talked about, or I don't know if everybody has, but leveling. Leveling was one of the most aggravating things in that game. Um, I switched from Star Wars: The Old Republic to WoW. In Star Wars: The Old Republic, the level cap is 70. It does not go any higher than that. And when I first looked at that and, well, I guess thought of that, I'm like, that doesn't sound very fun. You can't have any more things built to it. But now when I played WoW, I actually appreciate that level cap, having that high of a level cap. WoW, it's 120. It is high as hell. You start at level 1, you have to go through 119 levels. And granted, it can be done in a day if you're playing a monk, but like it's not fun. You're going through the same stuff over and over and over again. It doesn't matter what class you are, it's the same thing. And Star Wars: The Old Republic, you have whole different storylines. If you're a Sith warrior, You aren't going to do the same thing as a Imperial agent. If you're a Jedi consul, you're not doing the same thing as a smuggler. They're not the same stories. Some side quests, yeah, they're the same. They're universal, but the stories are different, so it doesn't get repetitive and old, um, and so on and so forth. WoW doesn't have that. It's very much you're leveling the same way as everyone else. In some cases that's good, in other cases it's not good. Very much most of the leveling in WoW is done by yourself because everyone's at the end content. They're not necessarily, not everyone is leveling. You know, some people are leveling, but then again, most of them are just at the end game. Um, so I don't know how to forgive me. Again, end game, so on and so forth. So it gets repetitive after a while, in especially with me, where I'm like, oh, I want to play this or I want to play that. I want to be a Tauren Druid, go bear, rar. I love Guardian Druid. I love Guardian Druid. It's very fun. But next thing it's like, oh, I want to be a dwarf warrior, or I switch. And it's like, oh, you can just have these multiple characters, but I get bored of leveling because it gets so aggravating. 1 through 20 is all right, maybe even 1 through 30, but after a while it just gets grindy and it just feels bleh. It's just not fun. Uh, 1 through 60 is, I think, bearable. Then you get past that and it's just like, this is not fun anymore. It's not. Um, it's like a downward hill of fun or something of that sort. You know, it's like, oh, you start having fun at first and then it just gets more boring, boring, and boring, and boring. It's aggravating. So, and I might have screwed myself by using level boost. I don't know. So I don't know at all. Um, Another gripe I have was, I guess, Mythic Plus and rating. That end game content, essentially, those two things. Um, I don't I don't know. I guess rating looks fun. Rating always, and kind of in a way, looked fun. And I was kind of looked at myself and go like, okay, if I'm rating, I want to do this. Like, I want to be I wanted to ultimately be a tank, but never did I reach a high enough level. Like you can say, oh well, I could have been a paladin tank, but I really wanted to be a guardian druid tank. Um, the problem was guardian druids weren't viable. They weren't. So I don't know. And it just, there was never really a way for me to get into raiding. Um, I Granted I could get randomly invited to guilds and maybe do that, but most of the time I just didn't have the time to do it, and it just, I don't know. It I guess this also plays into another problem with WoW with the community and all that, where there really isn't a community on the server. It's just you're meeting random people, so you don't really form connections and all that. And whenever I went into a guild, um, I kind of had an issue. Uh, I'm sorry, forgive me. I couldn't get really attached to them, or I was just afraid to be attached to them. I don't know. I remember like one of them, I had to go into their Discord, and I did go into their Discord, but it wasn't just, it didn't feel right to me. I don't know. Maybe if it was 2006 or whatever, and WoW was, like really popping, maybe I would have had more fun. Maybe I would have built more connections, but I could never make that uh, kind of friendships nowadays in WoW. I can't do that. Maybe that's my own problem. I don't know. I really don't know. But rating, just, I don't know. I'm rambling. I don't know. That end game of WoW. The end game of WoW. It's it's not fun. It feels like it's impossible to get into it, or it feels as if I'm not spending time doing that, I'm wasting my time. That was another problem with leveling. I felt like I was wasting my time. It's like, oh, the end game's going on right now, and here I am leveling a level 25 Tauren Guardian Druid. So I don't know. WoW has its issues nowadays. I hope they do get resolved, but from a person who joined in during Legion end of Legion, practically just BFA, um, it's not fun for newer players. I don't. For me, being a newer player, it's not fun. It wasn't fun for me. So maybe if it gets better, I might come back, but I don't think I will. Maybe come back during Classic. I'll definitely play a Guardian Druid because that was I like being a bear. Bears are my favorite animals. Rar, scratch people up. So thank you for watching. I do apologize. I've been basically rambling. There is no script. I just have a little list. So thank you very much. I hope your days goes well. Yeah, goodbye. Thank you.